So one of the biggest mistakes that we feel in a negotiation is us reading a negotiation not going very well as bad faith. But it really could be misread intent. So you think they're hesitating, they think you're rushing, you think you've got a deal, they think they've just started on the negotiation. And that's exactly how deals really unravel. It's not really disagreement, but it's really assumption. We as human beings have a lot of prejudices in our discussions and our communication and our negotiations, something we can't get out of. But if you want to win a negotiation, I will tell you my experience is that I have to put aside my prejudices. And that is why I thought it would be useful to do this podcast, because it's all about communicating with different cultures. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. Negotiating across cultures. I've really learned like 3 truths about negotiating in Dubai or in a place like Dubai of the Middle East. First is every culture seems to have its own timeline. You cannot rush certain cultures. You definitely cannot rush the Chinese because they need to build trust in you. They need to build a level of respect and a relationship with you. And it's really like a long game. Obviously, if I was negotiating with an American, I might have to get straight to the point because they might not have the bandwidth to wine and dine with me till we built this trust or this relationship. That's why I go back to a game of golf that I play. I found that very useful in my ability to communicate and negotiate, because spending 4 hours or a whole day out on the golf course with a bunch of clients or people gives you a very good insight into what kind of people they are and their style, or their, what I call, their tempo. The second is hierarchy. Sometimes I've been in a situation where I'm fighting my corner for my client really, really hard, but the real decision maker isn't even in the room. So I need to have done my homework. Who is the decision maker? How is this going to pan out? What is it that I need to do to achieve the path or the goal that leads me to a winning negotiation? And the third thing I've learned is how to read a no. I need to know when it's a no. So that could be a smile. It could be a maybe yes, like the Chinese who nod their heads at me and I think they've agreed to me. But I come back the next day and the documents haven't changed. And I come back the next day and they've said yes again and the deal hasn't moved along. So sometimes it's a pause, or sometimes it's delay, or sometimes it's silence. So I've got to be attuned to listening beyond words if I've got to have a meaningful negotiation. The last thing I would say on just negotiation and communication is emotional intelligence is just not even enough anymore. I would say you need a fair amount of cultural intelligence because we are a global world. If you don't have a strategy that includes cultural nuances, you're going to move really fast, but you're not probably going to get anywhere. And again, I say this because I've been in negotiations with very senior Chinese people. I've had to take responsibility and I've had to put my neck on the line for them to know that I'm absolutely serious about what I'm offering on the table, and I'm not going to retract my offer, and I'm not playing games, and I'm being reasonably direct, or as direct as I can be under the circumstances. Talking about China, I would say China, despite what my guests might say, are the masters of the long game. Chinese negotiation is all about relationships. They don't do business before you have a relationship. The relationship is the business, or it ends up being the business. In China, signing a contract probably is the starting point of your relationship because they're going to test you every step of the way. And I've seen this on many of the transactions where we have closed with our Chinese counterparts, where it's been a beginning of a long and arduous correspondence. They will rarely say no. They'll say we'll consider or we'll get back to you. But bottom line is they like to save money. They like to have their benefits. They like to have their way. But they also like to have harmony because they're not going to get overly confrontational. They're very diplomatic when it comes to getting their way. Take an example, like one of the CEOs I was working with, this was an American company actually, told me that his Chinese partners were not going to budge. They were investing into the company in the Middle East. They weren't making any decisions. They were super slow. They were being indecisive, and he had a very bad feeling or gut feeling about the transaction. And I actually didn't. I use my gut feeling a lot in business, even though I'm a lawyer and I do operate on logic. I do use my gut feeling. But in reality, it so transpired that the Chinese were not ready to sign. They were just aligning a whole bunch of stakeholders behind the scenes to be ready, because effectively what had ended up happening is that the investment that they had originally discussed with my client, they'd ended up in a situation where they wanted to invest a lot more. There was a requirement to invest a lot more, but they needed to back channel and they needed to get a lot of people aligned to enter into that transaction. So my client at that moment was misreading their maybe yes or their indecisiveness as being really a tactic, when actually it wasn't. It was just a different process that was being followed, and everyone had the same goal. Now, I say this because working in Dubai really fascinates me. It's a meeting point of every possible negotiation style on earth. So maybe at the end of this journey, I will write my own book and join Chris Voss on one of his podcasts, I hope. But it is really a place where American speed has to meet Chinese patience, where Arab formality meets sort of European precision, and somehow everything gets done. And you can see how, the Emirati government and the training and the education and how the workforce is dynamic and changing. But I've definitely seen a lot of deals saved because we've paused long enough to read the room, to understand what's going on. And we've had what I call a combination of cultural intelligence and emotional intelligence, and I call it strategic empathy. So I'm not empathizing on a person-to-person basis, and I'm not empathizing just for the sake of it, but I'm empathizing strategically to understand how the other side thinks so that I don't lose out to them. I repeat, communication and negotiation is not about winning. It's about reaching the point and the criteria that you set for yourself in a transaction, because every communication and negotiation is all about give and take. So here I have two stalwarts of the Chinese community of Dubai here with me, Amanda and Z, and I'm going to grill them with my questions on how to negotiate with the Chinese. Because as you know, China has a very complex culture, and you are a leading global economy. And whether we like it or not, we need to do business with the Chinese, right?
Thank you.
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about living as a Chinese person in an expat society like Dubai. Amanda, you can go first.
10 years ago, and I just came here, like a zero experience here, and my English was so poor. I can't even pick up the call to talk to my customer, you know what I mean? So I always okay, drop me the message, I will reply you by WhatsApp.
Right.
But eventually, so I try to force myself and then learn English, pick up my English quick. It was really, really difficult for me, and then I was thinking maybe I should go back to China. But I feel like a lot of opportunity in Dubai.
Sure.
So I don't want to just go back as a loser,
right.
you know? So I thought to myself, I believe myself I can set up my business here. So, and then thank God I got a really good client, and they trust me very well, and they support me from day one until today.
Z, do you want to tell me about your family life? Obviously, you're born and brought up in Dubai, so you have an advantage of negotiating with non-Chinese people because you know how people think here.
So I've lived in Dubai for 24 years now. And I'm a little bit different compared to Amanda because I don't have to start from zero. I got my parents to back me up because obviously they came to Dubai, they had their own business, and then all I had to do just listen good in school, and then hopefully get good grade and not get punished. So that's how my life was for the first 10-15 years, and then until I got into this socialized world, and then started to work, and then that's when I start to get in touch with the outsiders, and then start to learn how to negotiate with.
How to communicate
and negotiate with the people, yeah.
And Amanda, when you moved, your first 2-3 years you said was really difficult.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it being a female in the plywood industry? Was it being Chinese in an expat in an expat society? What was really the issues you would say that were really difficult for you?
Yes, I mean, in Dubai, for this production, which one I'm doing as plywood, it's male business, it's man business. So I cannot see many female in the market, to be honest.
Right.
And in the beginning, I didn't have cars, so I need to take the bus, metro to go to the industry area, and then in summertime, I need to carry the sample. It's so heavy.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so I was walking in the industry and I was fully dusty. So that made me feel like, oh, this is like really different when I live in China, you know.
But your clients are mainly who? Are your clients Chinese or all businesses from around the world?
My major clients is in Dubai,
Right.
and 95% are from Indian.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, great. This is a great discussion.
I will tell you the
that's why she's
story.
here.
Yeah, really good experience. Yeah.
Oh, so tell me about your challenges dealing with Indian customers.
Wow. Do you believe or not, there is one really funny video from Russell Peter. So he said, Indian and Chinese is not easy to do business because Chinese never give you negotiation chance and India always negotiates. So that is really, really true, and in reality, yes, it's challenge. But I mean, end of the day is just be honest, straightforward. Client believe or not, you cannot force them, you know.
That's very good advice. Yeah.
Exactly. So after a few years, I feel like I don't want to keep explain again and again, trying to convince my client, please trust me, you know. If you trust me, you trust me. So I just made my work more simple now. In the beginning, because I need to start
somewhere.
Start somewhere, and I need income to survive my life here.
Right.
Because I don't want to ask any support from family, to be honest. Because my family, actually, they want me to go back to China.
Okay.
But for myself, I want to stay in Dubai. So I thought to myself, I will make my life here.
Do you feel that you are in a difficult situation if you're a Chinese person negotiating in a situation out of China? So obviously if you're in your home ground, you have all the tools of your home ground and the person's coming to you to negotiate. But do you feel that there is any disadvantage to being in Dubai and negotiating?
Yes, there is kind of when I was in China, I also have international clients coming over to the factory and then do the negotiation. But in China, I would say it's easier to let them trust us. But when I'm here, because all by talking,
Yes.
they cannot see the factory, they cannot see the production, you know.
They have to trust you completely.
Exactly,
Sure.
yeah, it's more tough actually, I would say.
And Z, what about you? In your work, are you teaching a lot of Chinese kids and dealing with the parents? Is that a form of negotiation as well?
Oh, 100%. 100%. So I'm a golf professional at Emirates Golf Club.
Yes.
And then obviously I'm dealing with a lot of parents and kids because we have junior programs. And then as an Asian parent, they tend to be a little bit more pushy on their kids. They tend to have a lot of side studies besides just going to school, and golf is just one of them.
Okay.
And then they actually want their kids to be good in every one of them. All this sport like tennis.
Not just good,
Not just,
excellent, right?
he has to be good. And then he would come down and ask me like, so how's my kids now? She done 2 lessons already. I'm like, 2 lessons is not gonna get her anywhere. Right, so I get questioned a lot. And then parents actually, well, it's not parents' fault because they want to take care of the kids and know the updates and know the progress. But then it's actually very difficult pressurizing the coaches to perform exactly.
Right.
So
Sure.
and they sometimes they even request to be in the class with the kid. So I'm just feel like I'm being watched the whole time. But it's okay. I understand it from a parent's point of view because I'm a parent myself.
Sure.
But then yes, that's one of the challenges. And then it's so hard to say no to them as well. So I'm still figuring out how to negotiate in that part of the my work.
So I was asking Z before we started this, Amanda, about guanxi and trust,
Guanxi.
and the whole concept of trust and giving your trust in Chinese culture. Really, how important is that? Like when you're dealing, I mean, you talked about trust with your own clients as well.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about like your roots, like the roots of like Chinese beliefs and culture that have shaped you in terms of who you are and your style of communicating and negotiating? It doesn't have to be just negotiation. It could be also communicating, because that's quite difficult, right? Because we're so many cultures. Like in my office and in all my work, I've been dealing with 65 cultures at any given time. I have to be completely aggressive woman with the American, and then I have to be really nice to my Indian male clients, because if I shout at them, then you know what I mean? You know, and then I might have a Chinese client who I'm not really sure what to do, but I know I need to hold back a little bit because I'm not sure how I might come across. So I have to keep being like this, you know, chameleon, changing my approach. So, but I wanted to drill down and find out what is the intrinsic aspects of Chinese culture that you guys have grown up with that shapes the way you communicate.
I would say it's very difficult to become straight-on business partner if you are dealing with Chinese. It's always start with core values and being friends first. Like share a bit of your life and take them out for dinner. Build the trust from ground. Okay. And then from there we can take it to next level. So minimize the distance between yourself and your business partner or whoever. I think that's a good way to start dealing with Chinese, because they're more human oriented, people oriented, rather than just straightforward, hey, I want to do business with you.
We always hear about things taking time and not rushing to ask for the deal to happen.
Yes.
And it's difficult to know whether that's true or not, you know?
Yes, correct. I agree with Z as well. So basically in China, like we need to build a relationship first. And then after the relationship, and mostly I would say 90% based on the like a dining table, you know, in Chinese culture. Alcohol is
dining table culture,
yes. Alcohol is the foundation of the business. You know what I mean?
You get a few shots and then you loosen up and then you're ready to go. Right. Then you start sharing more and more of your secrets.
Enough Chinese drama to know that everybody is like under the table at the end of the day.
It was on the table after a few shots under the table.
Yeah, that's the Chinese culture. They always start with that.
Yes,
dining table tradition.
Right. So if I was in a negotiation with a Chinese person, give me like 5 things that I need to equip myself to like win in this negotiation.
Wow.
And tell me a little bit about silence as well, because we always hear about silence being a good thing with the Chinese, because the Chinese wait for you to fill the silences. Is that true?
Yes, I do think so. If you want to address something, they don't just say in your face Chinese.
Right.
They will look at your face expression, they look at your personality, and then they're trying to analyze you, and then they will start to think, okay, do I want to deal with them? And then you actually have to kind of guess what they want before, because they wouldn't tell you. That's the thing. Right. So I think that's what you meant by filling the silence.
Yes, and are there any gestures or things that you shouldn't do? Is there anything that's considered like taboo? Like obviously when I got to the Arab world and I got here like 31 years ago, everyone said, please do not shake hands with an Arab man because they tend not to touch, women, for example. Like that's a very much an Arab culture.
Traditional, I would say maybe no cuddling. So in Chinese culture,
no hugging, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I wouldn't become like
but now it's open. Now it's open.
No, hug is not a Chinese culture thing.
Okay.
Yeah, like shake hands, perfectly normal. But hug, maybe really close friends.
And is there any etiquette I follow that would build trust if I was with a Chinese person?
Actually, one thing I don't agree with like this. That taboo. Actually, I don't think there's any taboo, because Chinese, they're a little bit more on the conservative side.
Right.
Yeah. So they're actually looking forward for you to say hi to them. You might see a Chinese walking past and then she's doing no eye contact with you, but she actually expect you to say hi to her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Is that just you, Z, or
no,
is that all of us as well?
I'm slightly more Western because I lived in this side of the world for the last 2 decades. Yeah, but then I do think you can be a little bit more straightforward with the Chinese. Like you can walk up to them, say hi to them. They wanted that. Because first of all, language problems. Second of all, it's just their culture and how they brought up is more conservative. So Yes, foreigners, please go say hi to my Chinese friends.
Yeah, but China is big, right? So north, south, west, east. I would say every province a different culture.
Right.
So my business supplier all from north of China and I'm from south. So sometimes I go back to visit them and then I feel like the culture is so different. And I see that maybe the eye contact is not there, but sometimes like no eye contact. And then sometimes I just want to ask some question like with a random people, they don't want to like talk to you.
Right.
They like to stay in their own zone.
Yeah.
They don't want to get
So
disturbed.
even within China, obviously there are demarcations of how you communicate,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It's
Yeah.
like in Dubai, you see anyone, or in an elevator, your neighbor, you say hi, good
Yeah.
morning. But in China, it's not a thing.
Yes.
It's not a thing. They were like,
Exactly.
who's this weirdo saying hi to me?
Yes, exactly. That's a little bit weird when I go back to
Yeah.
China and then because I
Ni hao.
used to hear, right?
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah. Why you talk to me like?
Yeah.
Do I know you?
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, it's just the culture, but then
Yeah.
there's no.
Yeah. No offended.
Yeah, no.
This is a culture only.
Yeah, because that's what I mean. Like I don't know if a Chinese person is friendly or not, so I may not know to approach them or to, you know, like if I was in a negotiation with the Chinese national construction company, and it was a big dispute. It was a disputed territory, and we were negotiating for our client, who was a government,
Yeah.
and the Chinese national construction company was involved in this negotiation. But every time we made progress, it was a big transaction. Every time we made progress, they said yes, yes, yes. But then the next day, the documents were exactly the same as the documents of today. And then we'd go back and say, but you said yes, yes, yes. And they would be like, yes, 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 yes. And then the next day, the documents were again exactly the same. So we were like, what have we done wrong here? What are we not understanding, you know?
Okay, so for Chinese, I know what you mean. I hear you and I have your points. So Chinese, yes, yes, it doesn't mean yes.
No, my yes is a yes. Okay? I don't know about your Chinese. My yes is a yes.
So sometimes I talk to my supplier as well, but in Chinese way. So translate to English is yes, but actually it doesn't mean yes. They just say, I mean like, okay, understand.
Right.
But when they say yes, and then you took it, yes, it means yes, right?
Okay, so on that note, do the Chinese ever say no?
Not really often to say no.
We're very positive.
In fact, in India, I think it's the opposite. If you ask anyone, they say no till they actually listen to your question. I feel like the problem sometimes in my Indian negotiations is like no one is listening. They're all either shouting over each other. There isn't that sense of sometimes respect. So over a period of time, I think I was one of those as well. I thought the louder I shout, the more people are going to hire me because I'm an aggressive lawyer. I wasn't getting anything done. So I had to realize, okay, no, hold on a minute. Let's listen. Because one of the things I've said in my podcast earlier is the biggest issue is saying but, saying no, and not listening to what the other person is saying, because then they don't believe that you genuinely want to negotiate. Because the negotiation to me is not about winning. The negotiation to me is about getting a decent end result based on the criteria, the parameters you have. Like if you're selling plywood from a factory to an Indian buyer, you know that there is a bit of a margin of price that you might be able to have a bit of leeway on, or you might know that there is a delivery schedule you might not be able to meet, and you need that guy to give you a bit more time to deliver. There are so many aspects of like criteria, what I call it, in law or in my negotiations, where I don't need to win everything, but I definitely need to plan to get the best position. But I don't know if I'm approaching a Chinese person whether it's a no in their mind, but I'm hearing a yes coming out from.
I think half the time it's just language barrier. I think half the time it's just language barrier. Yeah.
Is there a particular nationality from your part of China where it's really difficult for you to understand and negotiate, apart from the Indians?
My 95% clients are from
clients.
India.
Yeah, no, it's good to understand your perception of them and how you handle them and how you think they handle you.
For sure, I cannot handle them, but I'm not sure they can handle me either. But I mean, like, yeah, it's quite challenging, I would say, because Indian also big. I mean, like a big industry area in the world, right? They are also have a lot of factories. I feel difficult when you don't trust me. I feel easy when you trust me. That's what I feel.
But building trust is a really important point. So
Yes, it is.
Trust doesn't come, as Z said, on day one, right?
Yeah.
You have to have a meal, you have to talk about your family. So how do you build trust with your customer?
So my customer basically compare me to other suppliers. So when I told him no perfect, good quality, for sure, it's just like business talk, right? He doesn't trust me. Then he went to another supplier and then he checked the price, he checked everything. Oh, Amanda gave me the best. And then he came back. So this what they build the trust on me.
Right. But
Yeah.
is it just price based or is also the way you deal with them?
Yeah, the way I told him, really straightforward, this is the quality, this is the price. Then he will come back to me, no, you are selling too much and this quality should be this price. I said, I don't cheat, I don't play around. You can check in the market. If other supplier give you better price, better quality, I'm happy for you. This is business. I don't want to force you to pay extra money to buy my production, make less profit.
Right.
For business, I want you to make profit, right? So my customer, like 1 deal, 2 deals, after a few orders, then they start trust and then like place more and more orders like that.
And what about you, Z? Like how, I know you have a slightly different role to Amanda's job, but how do you feel is the best way to build trust with you?
For me, just being transparent and showing your clients, students, or even your family, like you are showing the best out of you and you're really trying to help them out. No, so I think just caring for each other is how I should build my trust. Just being transparent, it will be my first take of building trust.
So if I summarize, like going back to my 5 tips that I needed from you guys, somebody Chinese, I need to be transparent. I need to build the trust by taking the time to get to know them, probably. What would you say the other 3 things are? Approach.
Make sure you approach them because they expect you to approach them.
Right.
They're not so directive.
Right. So it's fine for me to make the first approach.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And number 4?
Comparison, I think, is the point as well.
Okay. The 5th point. So we've got straightforward, we've got trust, we've got like openness.
Transparency.
Exactly. Yeah. Because those are not really, I mean, to be honest, things I would have, on my experience, I would have put in a Chinese negotiation. Because as I told you, my experience was that actually it was quite closed and I wasn't being able to go behind the curtain. Like I wasn't really, like literally behind the curtain, but I wasn't able to really crack the code. You see? It took me a long time to crack the code. And my way of dealing with it, I don't know if it was right or wrong, is that I took responsibility. So I said that if things don't work out or your yes isn't translating, I take responsibility. Tell me what you need for me to move the needle ahead and I will be responsible for it. I will explain my client and I will take responsibility. And that seemed to little bit help me bridge the gap. Because they were like, okay, she's trustworthy. She's happy to like put herself in this fire. So, it can't be all bad.
Chinese in China, they're looking up to the countries outside China, like let's say the Western culture. And so they're actually not trying to change how that culture is or the people over there. They're actually trying to adapt.
That's really good
Get
to hear.
back to the point. But you don't actually have to be afraid of approaching Chinese people because they're willing to adapt. They're willing to learn. They're willing to grow from there. Yeah, so I think that would be another point we can add into that.
They are flexible even if you don't think they are when you initially meet them.
Yes.
Because of the language barrier or whatever the reason might be.
They're
Yeah.
so flexible
Yeah.
in the sense of they will make a meeting with you within 5 minutes. That
Yeah.
can we do a meeting in 5 minutes? I'm actually underneath your office. Can I meet you for like 10 minutes?
It's a more casual way.
Very casual.
Yeah.
Less appointment like.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, not really have appointment in China
Yeah,
for
they will
meeting.
message me.
Yeah.
Z, can I do a lesson in the next hour? I'm like, oh, okay, I'm free now. Come now.
I went back to China and then I visited some factory. I don't even need to make any appointment. Just
rock
walk
up.
in.
Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of a rapid fire. It may not be that rapid, somewhat rapid, where I'm going to explain a Chinese tactic to you both, a Chinese tactic that I've suffered with. So you're going to give me a perspective on how I should deal with Chinese people on these Chinese tactics, okay? Now the first one is extreme demands made by my Chinese clients. How should I deal with that?
Don't get me wrong, it's all based on the benefits, what the Chinese they want. If they don't feel like good benefits, maybe just hanging, like keep you hanging around and just keep silent way.
Right.
I think it depends on Chinese to Chinese, but then, like I said, like we mentioned earlier, we're a bit more conservative. We hate saying no to people, but then if they don't like it, they might just keep you hanging there, and then maybe you have to give yourself a time frame.
Okay.
How long are you willing to wait?
Right.
And then once you pass that frame, don't worry about this guy, because if he does want to do business with you or whatever, he will come back to you.
Okay.
He will do his research, you analyze the market, and then if you think, oh, okay, she's actually my best choice, he will come back to you with no shame.
Good thing I have good social media. Look me up.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about silence? The Chinese tactic of silence.
Yeah, sometimes I got silence from supplier, so I get mad. Can you give me answer? Just don't be silent. Say yes or no, or just give me any like answer. But another way, I feel like, okay, maybe you don't know, you are not sure what you can tell me. If you tell me something and then not happen, and then you break your words. So the silent way depends on which situation, but sometimes just be patient.
Do you agree? How do I deal with you, Z, if you go silent on
Just
me?
keep calling me, messaging me. I will eventually feel, okay, I need to reply her. Yeah, just keep the call coming, right?
What about the Chinese tactic of divide and conquer?
We love to compare products to products to products. So they do anything to say
Yeah.
bad stuff about your product.
Right.
And then obviously they're competitors. If they say bad stuff about your product, automatically you become friends with this.
And my last one is, suppose I get a vague yes from you. The yes. Remember I was talking to you?
Yes.
The yes, there wasn't a no, but wasn't a yes. How do I deal with you, Amanda, if you give me a vague yes?
Depends on the trust, right?
My yes is yes. My yes, it means promise.
Not inshallah, yes.
No. Not Chinese
It's
yes.
a wallah yes.
What about you, Z? Does yes mean yes? Or did you
100%.
give vague yeses to everybody you deal
Yes.
with? Yes.
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 I will be here. I will do the podcast with
Yes.
Jayshree. I will attend.
I'll be there sharp.
Yes.
Let's have some final thoughts from our guest for this podcast. Amanda has a few things to say about discipline in Chinese culture.
When I get into something like a sport, golf, whatever, I always go to practice. I always it's discipline. Because
Give it 100%.
yes, so when I invest something, I want to become perfect. I don't want to invest feel like just if I learn golf just a few sessions and then I quit, I'm wasting time. So when I get into that, I will keep on going and then keep practicing, keep doing things. I mean, this is all related to discipline.
Yeah.
And then when I start cycling, fitness, it's so difficult to keep on going, you know, it's
Yeah,
really
it's a
difficult.
I'll ask my clients, keep practicing. Practice makes it permanent.
How many of them actually practice regularly?
I don't push them enough. That's my fault.
Yeah, maybe. Because when I go to the
That's a big yes. That's a big yes.
I went to the range, in the member range, I always see Asian people practice.
Yes, I see a
That's
lot
correct.
of Asian
That's
people,
correct,
right?
yeah.
Very nice
Yeah.
outfits, which I
Yes.
always want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
love the practice. They love the grind. Yeah.
Great. Well, I hope you found that insightful. That's our podcast on communication and negotiation with the Chinese.